So throughout my entire YouTube career, I've always been asked, why do I have a collection of every single generation Apple Watch that ever existed, from the very first Series 7000 all the way down to the latest Apple Watch Ultra. Well, it's to really just create these type of informative videos, because right here I have a bunch of USB ports and a ton of Apple Watch chargers right here that I'm going to go ahead and set up and create the perfect ultimate battery life comparison to see if Apple really did evolve from the very first generation Apple Watch to the latest, and see how far Apple has gone, if they really did evolve in making the most energy efficient Apple Watch ever. And so I'm going to be setting up these Apple Watches on this table right here to create a time lapse, see which one of these Apple Watches lasts the longest from 100% charge all the way down to 0. And basically this is how the whole contraction should look like at the end. I have everything from the Series 0 all the way to the Ultra, and yes, these are all the larger screen version of that Apple Watch. So this is the 42mm Series 0, and we have the larger version screen on all of these other Apple Watches. And as soon as they're done turning on, I'm going to go ahead and make sure if they're all paired up to date, because this is still on the beta. Before it was green, it used to be red. They're on the latest firmware update that's available, each generation model, so we can just turn off the power source and let this battery go from 100 to 0% and see which one of these is the long-lasting winner. Now, I would have done the charge test from a 0% to 100 and see which one of these generation Apple Watches charges the fastest. But from my understanding, this was really challenging due to the fact that Apple always changes their power adapters throughout like different Apple Watches, and some Apple Watches don't even have power adapters. So even though I was using Apple official ones for my previous test, this was really complicated to actually get an accurate, consistent result. And also, most surge protectors I've noticed charge slower to one socket compared to the other, so it was a headache. So until I have this resolved, I'm not doing that in today's video, just solely battery life drain test. But as of right now, I'm really looking forward to seeing which one of these Apple Watches is the winner in terms of overall long-lasting battery life, and this will also include the low power mode. So this is the playing field. Everything will be fair. All these Apple Watches will be disconnected from Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, as well as all will be sharing the same animation watch face, all due to the fact that the Series 0 also has this as the Series 0, and some of these Apple Watches don't have the latest watch faces, but this one in particular shared upon all the other Apple Watches. Then all will have max screen brightness, so this will be the overall setup. And I'm using these auto screen tappers, which were super popular during the Pokemon Go time, because what they do once you activate, they constantly tap the display, because after all, the Apple Watch does not have a keep display on setting. The max is only 70 seconds. So this is the tool that we'll be using to make sure these Apple Watches stay on. And the whole purpose to this test is to see the general idea. If, like, say, for example, you're coming from a Series 6 and you're curious if the Series 8 even is so much better or so much more improved in battery life, to make that buyer's decision if you want to upgrade your Apple Watch later on down the line. So that's the whole point of these, just for reviewers like us can get a better understanding if it's worth upgrading to or not. But before we start our test, let's go ahead and look at the overall battery capacity, so we have a general idea how much percentage is left. Now, I'm pretty sure all these are either 80% or greater, so it should still be very fair to one another. And then also keep in mind that majority of these Apple Watches are discontinued, so it's going to be really challenging to find one that's 100%. Let's start off with the Apple Watch Ultra. By going into settings, going down into battery, the overall maximum capacity is still 100% for the brand new Ultra. The Series 8 has a battery health also at 100%. The SE2 is still at 100 as well. Series 7 is still at 100%. Series 6 unfortunately is at 85%. The SE is at 100%. The Series 5 is at 97%, which is not bad. The Series 4 is at 88%. The Series 3 is at 93%. Unfortunately, the Series 2, 1, and 0 has no real way to determine what's the battery health capacity is for these three, unfortunately, because that wasn't introduced until the Series 3 or newer Apple Watches that received that firmware update. But aside from that, I'm going to go ahead and wire everything up, put every device on airplane mode, make sure the screen is at 100%, And we're going to go ahead and begin this time lapse. All these Apple Watches are disconnected, but disconnected. All these are at 100% except for the Ultra, which I'm going to go ahead and turn off, the power optimized mode, and then we'll start the test. And here it is one last time, but every single Apple Watch is at 100%. So basically, here's the entire setup with a little bit of the behind the scenes. So I made sure I was on standby mode in case one of the tappers gets disconnected or isn't set on properly. So I was hanging around until everything looked right. Afterwards, this is something that I've noticed after reviewing the clip, is that Series 0, or better known as Series 7000, the animation was constantly resetting. Now this is something we've seen in the past with some previous test videos that we've done in terms of battery life tests, and I guess the Series 0 just struggles in terms of data in this watch face in particular. But regardless, we should still be able to receive an accurate reading, especially when it comes to overall battery life, because the Series 0 actually made it 2 hours and 6 minutes, which wasn't too far off from previous videos. But then afterwards, unfortunately, my AirPods connected to the iPhone that I was using to record, so it ended the recording, but we resumed back 1 hour later. But within 1 hour, we lost the Series 1 and 2, but don't worry, we repeat the same test when we enabled low power mode on them. But a general understanding, around the 4 hour, 3 hour mark is typically where the 1 and 2 would last. Now both the Series 3 and 4 are on the low power mode menu, but the Series 4 made it at 5 hours and 39 minutes. Meanwhile, the Series 3 is still going strong. This is due to the fact that something we previously noticed, the Series 3 does have a larger battery than the Series 4, so it explains why it could last a little bit longer than the Series 4, which is a smaller battery. But then the Series 3 went out at 5 hours and 50 minutes. So 5 hours and 50 minutes is how much display time we could get under a single charge for a Series 3, which isn't bad. The next Apple Watch on our list is surprisingly the Series 5, as it actually made it 8 hours and about 18 minutes. And then an hour later, in 9 hours and 18 minutes, the Apple Watch SE came next. And then what came next was the Apple Watch Series 6 as well as the SE2. As both were really close, as they only came about 5 minutes apart. The Series 6 finished in 10 hours and 21 minutes, and the SE2 finished in 10 hours and 26. Then the Series 7 made it at 11 hours and 11 minutes. Then the Series 8 made it at 11 hours 49 minutes. And then obviously, being the Ultra was the largest battery on this list, of course it's going to last a lot longer, and the end result was shocking. So for one charge, display time that it could deliver is 17 hours and 56 minutes. That is impressive. So we repeat the same test, but this time we put every single Apple Watch that supports low power mode on low power mode. The only Apple Watch that was not able to support this is the Series 3 and older Apple Watch, as those watches are no longer accepting software updates, feature updates from Apple, so they don't have these new abilities. Now low power mode, I wasn't really expecting much, but the end result was actually really interesting. Because to no surprise, the Series 0 did went out first, but actually lasted longer, has actually had a time of 2 hours and 48 minutes. I have no idea what happened. I don't know where this battery increase came from, but I just recharged it and lasted about 40 minutes longer. And then the Series 1 went out at 4 hours and 14 minutes. And then the Series 2 went out at 4 hours and 52 minutes. Series 3 at 5:59. And then the Series 4 made it at 6 hours and 30 minutes. SE was able to deliver 9 hours and 3 minutes of on-screen time, and then soon to follow was the Series 5 at 9 hours and 29 minutes. The Series 6, 9 hours and 51 minutes. So the alarm did go off on these devices, but I just swiped down. They weren't playing audio or anything like that through the speaker since it's on silent mode, but I just missed it. Hopefully they didn't really affect anything on the test results. But then the Series 7 went down at 10 hours and 34 minutes. The Series 8 somehow went next, as it lasted 10 hours and 39 minutes. And a moment later, the SE2 was still outlasting the Series 8 somehow in low power mode, as the SE2 lasted 11 hours and 5 minutes. Meanwhile, the Ultra, one more time, we have to extremely fast forward this section, but it made it 18 hours and 49 minutes with its display on, so giving us the true numbers in terms of always display on hours. So the results were extremely interesting, especially when low power mode was enabled. I've noticed after putting the number of times on the whiteboard back here, sorry, animating is too expensive and takes a lot of time. It's easier for me just to put it all on the whiteboard. So this is kind of giving me an engineer explain vibes, but bear with me. But the Apple Watch Ultra, without a doubt, is capable to achieve literally 18 hours of always on display time. And with low power enabled, it definitely did somehow help boost the Apple Watch to achieve an hour more. But I have no idea what happened with the Series 8 Apple Watch, because it literally lost an hour of display time with low power mode enabled. But the SE2, on the other hand, actually somehow came close to having another extra hour. Feel free to pause this, I'll move out of the way so you can actually screenshot the results. But I'm still kind of confused on what's going on. So the Ultra, of course, as I previously showed, it had 100% battery. The SE Series 8 also had 100% battery capacity. The SE2 was also at 100. The Series 7 was also at 100% capacity still. The Series 6, however, was at 85%, but somehow performed better than the SE, and the SE also had 100% battery capacity as well. The Series 5 had 95% battery capacity, and the Series 4 was at 88%. And then the Series 3 was at surprisingly really high battery capacity, 93%. But the Series 2, 1, and 0 never received the update to show you the overall battery health capacity. And then all these Apple Watches you see here were on the latest firmware update. The Ultra, Series 8, SE2, Series 7, 6, SE, 5, and Series 4 were all on watchOS 9.3. The Series 3 was the only one that was on watchOS 8.71. The Series 2 was on 6.3 of watchOS and 1, and the Series 1 was also at watchOS 6.3, and then Series 0 was at watchOS 4.32, which was the last supported update that the 3, 2, 1, and 0 both received from Apple. So in conclusion, the results were extremely interesting. This definitely requires more testing in the near future. I say this has something to do with the watchOS firmware updates, because I have no idea how low power mode somehow caused an hour away from the SE, the Series 8. Maybe it has something to do with the battery chemistry that I'm not aware of, but if some of you guys know, please feel free to comment down below. But in the real world environment, these are the results that we got. Share your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Aside from that, there you guys have it. Hope you have a better understanding of which Apple Watch is the best Apple Watch for you if you're trying to get most battery out of your device, a single charge. In other words, meaning which Apple Watch is compatible to give you the long-lasting display time. Not Apple Watch usage, just display time in general, because that's what we tested in today's video. Other than that, hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, you know what to do. Leave this video a like. Make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss future testing videos. But if you're still comparing Apple Watches to Apple Watches, I actually did a whole dedicated video comparing every single Apple Watch right here that's currently available in the market. Highly recommend watching that video. And then that video over there, that's just a video YouTube is recommending specifically for you. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll catch you all in the next one. See ya.